Do I think we're in a simulation?
Yes.
I think that there's a lot of smart people
Okay.
that know a lot more than I do
Okay.
to make an opinion.
Okay.
I think there's a lot more less intelligent, unfortunate folks
Yes.
that might share that same opinion.
Okay.
Maybe all for the same reasons.
Okay.
Maybe for their own.
Mm-hmm.
However, I can see how you can make a case because of the duality of science and spirituality. You know about the simulation theory, Aaron?
I don't.
They even said that they went down so far into like the atoms and molecules and, you know, like the quantum physics. And there was a man that claims that you can see code in the atoms or in the quarks. I think is what one of the smallest things.
What?
Okay?
And there's new evidence that just came.
They just keep going. They say things like there's glitches in the simulation, and that's what
This guy, it's only 4 minutes.
deja vu is. See, he doesn't really believe in the simulation theory.
This guy? Then F that dude. We're looking for freaking faith.
Faith.
Leaving the game. Tom Campbell said enough of this simulation bullshit. I'm escaping the simulation. Being in the simulation is a
So here
simulation.
we go. I found one.
All right.
Is live like a video?
There's sort of a philosophic concept that a sufficiently advanced civilization will be able to create a simulation. Yeah, maybe you've answered this before. A simulation.
I've had so many simulation discussions. It's crazy.
Okay, so because
In fact, it got to the point where basically every conversation was the AI/simulation conversation, and my brother and I finally agreed that we would ban such conversations if we were ever in a hot tub. That was like
Okay.
that really kills the
hot
magic.
tub. So the idea is right. Any sufficiently advanced civilization could create a simulation that's like our existence, and so the theory follows that maybe we're in the simulation. Have you thought about this? And
A lot.
Are we?
Even in hot tubs. So much so it had to be banned from a hot tub.
Okay.
It's not the
Who's
sexiest
laughing so
conversation.
close to me?
I think here's, in my mind, like the strongest argument for us being in a simulation, probably being in a simulation, I think is the following. That 40 years ago, we had Pong, like two rectangles and a dot. That was what games were. Now, 40 years later, we have photorealistic 3D simulations with millions of people playing simultaneously, and it's getting better every year. And soon we'll have virtual reality, augmented reality. If you assume any rate of improvement at all, then the games will become indistinguishable from reality. Just indistinguishable. Even if that rate of advancement drops by 1,000 from what it is right now, then you just say, okay, well, let's imagine it's 10,000 years in the future, which is nothing in the evolutionary scale. So given that we're clearly on a trajectory to have games that are indistinguishable from reality, and those games could be played on any set-top box or on a PC or whatever, and there would probably be, billions of such, computers or set-top boxes, it would seem to follow that the odds that we're in base reality is 1 in billions.
So
Tell me what's wrong with that argument.
is the answer yes?
The argument is probably. I mean, but I just like, is there a flaw in that argument?
I mean, someone.
I'm not sure what the error.
No. The argument makes sense. So the assumption then is that somebody beat us to it, and this is a game.
No. There's a 1 in billions chance that this is base reality.
Oh, okay. What do you think?
Well, I think it's 1 in billions.
Okay.
So what he's basically saying, like, it's a 1 in billions chance that this is by base reality that this is the actual reality. He's saying that it's 1 in billions chance that, because if you think that 5,000 years from now, 1,000 years from now, how they say technology is advancing, especially with like computers, like doubling every 18 months or something like that. The news discoveries or some shit like that. And, you know, that in the future, the odds of us becoming more advanced is highly probable, if not almost inevitable.
So are we just NPCs in somebody else's virtual reality? Is that basically like the 1 in a billion chance is that somebody basically already created civilization in the simulation and we are in somebody's civilization within the simulation?
Right. That we are just, and that's why there's multiverses. Because we're just one version of the game or the program. And that's why everything follows certain rules and laws. The laws of gravity. When you think about the Fibonacci numbers, right? And all the patterns, the golden ratio, everything follows those rules because it's within this program, right? And nothing can operate outside those laws of physics because you cannot overpower the program. And then there's a correlation with religion because of there being a creator of the game. Maybe they hit a reset, and maybe they're fixing a bug, and that's why you have deja vu, or even the ability to have ESP and
I mean that's so you think that's a real thing? People like have ESP or maybe just seeing a riff in the simulation?
Well, because if you are in the same program, then you essentially have all the same access, right?
Yeah, I mean,
so like, what's the video of Micho?
Right. We create simulations of worlds. We have video games with characters that are inside the video game. Right. Imagine a day where you can simulate a world so perfectly with life forms, humans, so well that you can recreate every single neurosynaptic thought you could have, but now you're in the simulation on the computer. So, including the perception of free will. And you don't have to have all the world existing there at all times. Right. That might be an unrealistic amount of computing power. Right. You just need enough of the world that they see around them. Right. So you want to start digging and and have it put the Earth there. There's a flag that goes up in the programmer.
Right. So like nothing's there until we look at it.
They put Earth beneath you while you can keep digging.
Like the reason why when we look into the stars in the sky and there's just little blinks of light, and then we look in, the more we pay attention to it, the more it becomes something. So like if you're playing a video game, saying like GTA, you just pass somebody on the street, they're not still in there in the game because the program's like, all right, we're only focusing on what's in front of the player and what you can see. Yeah. And so there's a thing called quantum entanglement, where the protons, right, change their state upon being perceived or observed, is what they
like
say.
The Hindenburg theory?
I don't know what that is. I know that they shoot electrons and protons through this wall with holes, and at the end of it, let me find that video real quick.
We're still making it on battery. Cool.
This is let's see, there's a 5-minute one.
Hit me with it.
6-minute one. Let's see. Okay. Let's do the 5-minute one.
And here we are, the granddaddy of all quantum weirdness. The marble at the screen, we see a pattern on the back wall where they went through the slit and hit. Now, if we add a second slit, we would expect to see a second band duplicated to the right. Now, let's look at waves. The waves hit the slit and radiate out, striking the back wall with the most intensity directly in line with the slit. The line of brightness on the back screen shows that intensity. This is similar to the line the marbles make. But when we add the second slit, something different happens. If the top of one wave meets the bottom of another wave, they cancel each other out. So now there is an interference pattern on the back wall. Places where the two tops meet are the highest intensity, the bright lines, and where they cancel, there is nothing. So, when we throw things, that is, matter, through two slits, we get this, two bands of hits. And with waves, we get an interference pattern of many bands. Good so far. Now, let's go quantum.
Go quantum.
Going quantum.
An electron is a tiny, tiny bit of matter, like a tiny marble. Let's fire a stream through one slit. It behaves just like the marble, a single band. So, if we shoot these tiny bits through two slits, we should get, like the marbles, two bands. What? An interference pattern. We fired electrons, tiny bits of
Which are
matter.
tiny bits of matter.
We get a pattern like waves, not like little marbles. How? How could pieces of matter create an interference pattern like a wave? It doesn't make sense. But physicists are clever. They thought maybe those little balls are bouncing off each other and creating that pattern. So they decide to shoot electrons through one at a time. There is no way they can interfere with each other. But after an hour of this, the same interference pattern is seen
Holy
to
shit.
emerge. The conclusion is inescapable. The single
Yeah.
electron leaves as a particle, becomes a wave of potentials, goes through both slits, and interferes with itself to hit the wall like a particle. But mathematically, it's even stranger. It goes through both slits and it goes through neither. And it goes through just one and it goes through just the other. All of these possibilities are in superposition with each other. But physicists were completely baffled by this. So they decided to peek and see which slit it actually goes through. They put a measuring device by one slit to see which one it went through and let it fly. But the quantum world is far more mysterious than they could have imagined. When they observed, the electron went back to behaving like a little marble. It produced a pattern of two bands, not an interference pattern of many. The very act of measuring or observing which slit it went through meant it only went through one, not both. The electron decided.
So that's where they're saying this ties into the simulation theory, is because whenever we are observing something, things become matter, and when we are not, they are